Welcome to Weather Snap. It's Friday, the 11th of August. I'm Alex Deakin.
And I'm Aidan McGivern. Coming up in today's pod, what's in store for the rest of summer? And 3 storms in one weekend. It's been a lively time across Europe.
Yeah, let's start with a bit of a storm roundup, shall we? Anthony, made for a busy day for us last Friday, didn't it? We named that storm last Friday morning with the impacts across the southwest of the UK during Saturday, in particular with the gusty winds, but heavy rain overnight across Northern Ireland. An amber warning was issued during Friday as well for the winds across the southwest. What did we actually hit, Aidan?
I think the windiest place was Berryhead, gust of 78 miles an hour. That's pretty unusual for Berryhead in August. I think that was a record for August, wasn't it, in Berryhead in Devon?
It's a pretty exposed site, but nevertheless, that's fairly remarkable for August.
And lots of other locations recorded gusts into the high 40s or mid 50s miles per hour across the southwest of the country. It wasn't just the southwest, of course. There was heavy rain across large parts of the UK, and that followed on from a really wet week.
Yeah, it did cause quite a few impacts as well. And one of the reasons we named it, we probably wouldn't have named this storm almost certainly in October or November, or even if it was happening in other parts of the country. But it was that focus, wasn't it, across the southwest in particular with those strong winds. It was a Saturday. It was August. Lots of people travelling, lots of people on holiday, lots of events going on as well. So it's trying to reduce the impacts of this storm because of all of those reasons. I had a message from my friend in Belgium. Actually, she's a weather presenter over there, and she was asking why did we name the storm. So I went through the reasoning behind it, because I think they named their storms just purely on the wind speed. So it doesn't matter what time of year, but that's not the way we do it. It's all about impacts, and we knew this was going to be quite an impactful storm because of the time it was hitting. Bit of anecdotal evidence from our colleague Emma Lawrence, who we work with. She does a lot of editing for us, does the thumbnails, does all kinds of jobs within our content team. But she went camping last weekend, despite the warning in Cornwall, and had a bit of a tent-based issue at 4:00 in the morning where it collapsed. So, some anecdotal evidence of a bit of disruption there, direct from one of our colleagues. Interesting, the first storm that we've named since those 3 in February. Remember that week? That was a week, wasn't it? February 2022. First storm that we've named since then. And it was really interesting the way it formed, actually, as it crossed the jet stream. So the jet stream was energized, quite a powerful jet for the time of year. And the low went from a fairly benign system, and it crossed the jet stream into a really developmental part of the atmosphere, and it really intensified just as it approached Ireland. And that's one of the reasons why the wind suddenly kind of picked up from it. But really interesting to see how that developed, and the jet stream then had knock-on effects across other parts of the world as well.
Yeah, it also created Storm Peter in Italy, and then it picked up Storm Hans, which was named by the Norwegian Met Service because the jet stream buckled, drew up some really warm air from the Med that then combined with that intense jet stream to really ramp up Storm Hans during the weekend.
Now, you're saying Storm Hans. I was saying Storm Hans or Storm Hans. I wasn't sure. I think you and I may have been influenced by Frozen, because I 10 years ago, this would definitely be, for me, from Yorkshire, Storm Hans. But I'm thinking Storm Hans now because I watched Frozen too many times, because we've both got 2 daughters, right?
So my 3-year-old has already corrected me. We just need Storm Sven and Storm Elsa, and she will be happy.
So yeah, Storm Hans definitely had some serious impacts. I saw some incredible footage. I put it on the deep dive actually on Tuesday. Incredible footage from Latvia of hailstones 5 to 8 centimeters across, doing really remarkable damage. It was terrifying actually. And then the gust of winds as well associated with. I think they had a wind gust of 73 miles an hour in Latvia, and the rainfall they've had almost. Well, I think a few spots in Latvia had 60, 70 millimeters of rain on Monday. Parts of Norway have seen 60 to 80 millimeters in a day. And before the storm finishing the middle of this week and easing off. But by the time the storm's over, parts of Norway will have had a month's worth of rainfall in just 48 hours. And the same goes for Latvia as well. But it wasn't just the winds of the storm and the downpours, temperatures as well. Temperatures, because of that warm air you talked about, getting pulled up from the Med, We had 33 Celsius in Finland. Part of Latvia recorded a minima of 25.6, where their average min at this time of year is 13, and their average max is only 21. So significantly above average there. So they had some very high temperatures, which goes to show that warm air, which, as you said, helped to increase the development with that storm system, which is thankfully has now eased away. But yeah, some big impacts across Northern Europe from that.
Yeah, now further south, we're seeing again a heat wave across Iberia. Portugal has been in the news with more wildfires. And what we're seeing at the moment, temperatures 10 Celsius above average, with nighttime minima 5 to 10 Celsius above average. 46.4 Celsius at Santarém in Portugal on Monday. That was a record for that location. And the focus for the heat is now gradually transferring eastwards across Spain during the next couple of days, declining then with temperatures returning closer to average by the weekend. And that marks a change to more of a westerly pattern for Iberia and more of an Atlantic influence over the next few days. So that will, of course, help to ease those wildfires.
Yes, and further talk of heat waves further south makes you wonder where all the heat for the UK has gone, because we haven't seen a lot, have we, so far this summer. Again, I touched on this in the deep dive on Tuesday, which you can catch on YouTube. But summer so far has really been quite remarkable, hasn't it? Kind of in three stages, I guess you might say.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to forget now how remarkable June was, how dry, how sunny, and how hot it was. It was the hottest June on record by quite a margin as far as records go. And it's very difficult to imagine that now because we've just come off what has been, in some places, the wettest July on record. So, Northern Ireland, wettest July on record, Manchester, Merseyside. It was towards the northwest of the UK where we had some particularly heavy rain, but across the UK, well above average rainfall through July. And August has started in the same vein. We've seen some very wet weather. We've mentioned the storminess of last weekend as well, so some windy weather and suppressed temperatures, really suppressed temperatures for the first week of August. That follows a slightly cooler than average July. So we seem to have been stuck in one weather pattern for the first third of summer, this hot, dry weather pattern. Then we got stuck in another weather pattern with relentless areas of low pressure, outbreaks of rain, occasional wind, suppressed temperatures. Now there are signs that we're going into a different regime for the final act of summer. The signals are quite muted at the moment. Now, if you look at the shape of the jet stream for this week, certainly through Wednesday, Thursday, it does look very different to what we've experienced over the last 5 weeks or so. A mixture predominantly of sunny spells and showers, drier towards the southeast.
An extra complication comes in August, with particularly the back end of August, with the introduction of potentially tropical heat from hurricanes and stuff. We're getting towards the peak season for hurricanes. It's been a bit quiet of late, but there are signs that we are going to see a pickup in the hurricane season across the Atlantic, and that always can impact the UK weather, because if one of those systems comes northwards, it can introduce warmer and tropical air, but it can also mess with the jet stream and really change the patterns around as well. August is actually the wettest of the 3 summer months. So we talk about this being the end of summer. A lot of people, get upset when we say summer's over on the 1st of September, because they like to prolong it a little bit. But meteorologically, climatologically, it's the 3 months of June, July, and August to make up summer. So for us, summer does finish on the 31st of August. Other people can measure it how they want, but that's how we do it. And yeah, statistically, of the 3 summer months, August is the wettest of the 3 months. And that's usually because you're getting more heavy downpours. So that you don't get the persistent rain like we have seen. But usually in August, the rain is going to come in from big thunderstorms and drop a lot of rain in a short space of time. And another stat I looked at today, I found out that we've had 3 named storms now in August. Anthony last week was the 3rd time we've named a storm in August. It's a small sample size because we only started naming them in 2016, but June and July have only had 1 each, but August is quite a bit ahead in terms of that. So that's quite an interesting stat.
Yeah, sometimes it's the first month of autumn, isn't it? You could say that happened in July. So we'll see.
Yes, maybe we're getting September's weather in August, which has been pretty good over recent years. For a full detail about next week, if you're on holiday with the school children, then catch Aidan's 10-day trend on YouTube. I said there was more on the stats and stuff in the deep dive that I did on Tuesday. But for the day-to-day forecast, always make sure you're subscribed. Hit subscribe on YouTube and make sure you hit like as well. But that's about it for this week. I think Claire's back next week. But thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you again soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
Another great weather snap, Claire. Thank you so much for listening. And don't forget to hit subscribe. Then you'll catch all of our daily weathers on YouTube as well.
And if podcasts are your thing, check out our Met Office podcast channel. Lots of information, lots of stories there. And we'll see you again next week.